One of these books makes 25 times more than the loser, and one of these books is an original, while the other two are copycats. And yeah, I did put that pun in there, but with a good reason, because they really are copycats. And this is all about cats today. So welcome to another episode of KDP Throwdown. We're going to use my 5Cs framework to see if we can figure out why one of these books is dominating the other two. Why is it doing so well? And this is a really great way to learn the KDP game and see if we can improve our own game by seeing what is successful for other people. All right, so let me get this thing officially underway here. All right, the throwdown has started. Okay, so let's have a look at each of these books. We'll start here. So here we have a book called Meow, and just so that we're really clear about what kind of book this is, it's a very heady, very intellectual tome, I would say, that consists of the word meow a bunch of times. So that's the entire point of this book. It's just a gag book. It's a gift book. It's something to make people laugh because it's clever. So the next one we're going to look at is also called Meow, and it's pretty much the same thing, but with a little bit of different kind of angle on it. And then the third book, same thing again, slightly different angle, and we're going to look at each of these in detail now. What I like to do is I like to look at a book concept, and that means, what is the context of the book in relation to the customer and the world in general? What is the demand for that kind of book? What is the competition? What is the visibility? Is it easy to find? Is it difficult? What's the price? And what's the timing? Because timing can be really important. Amazon oftentimes rewards the first one to the party. And you'll see that in this case, that it's maybe true. Yeah, I'm not going to give that away quite yet, but that's what we're going to look at here for these books. So let's dive in. And first of all, the concept. Is it a good concept? Well, yeah, I guess. The reason I say that is because there's a demand for it. So all three of these books that we're going to look at sell pretty well. One of them sells much better than the others. And there's some other things going on that make it much more profitable than the others. But in terms of the demand for this type of book, yeah, it's there. It's definitely there. It's kind of hard to show you through a search, though. So I'm going to approach this from a different perspective. I'm going to talk about several things at once here. I'm going to talk about the demand, the competition, the visibility, and the timing, kind of all into one part instead of separating it out. And you'll see why. Okay, so this book was the first of this concept. At least it's the first one that I could really find. And it came out in 2018. The interesting thing about this is that this really follows, I think it was Eugene Schwartz, or it's one of these marketing geniuses that talked about a natural progression in terms of copywriting and product differentiation. So if, say, for example, soap was never invented and we never bathed, or we bathed but just with water and not with soap, then if somebody came out and invented soap, then they could just say soap and then people would buy it. You wouldn't need to advertise anything other than, hey, here's soap. But then if a bunch of other competitors would come in, then it would be hard to differentiate. Well, which one's the good one? In order to stand out from that, people had to niche down. So it would be, men's soap, women's soap, and all this stuff happened, by the way. Like I lived through it. I saw this in when people used to watch commercials on TV, there was Irish Spring, strong enough for a man, and whatever, just stupid things like that. But that's differentiation. And then as time went on, then, you would have soap for kids, for dogs, for cats, for whatever. And then there would be natural soaps, biodegradable. And so you get the idea. It just that the niches keep sort of niching down and getting narrower and narrower as the market just gets bigger and bigger. So this is a great example, super plain, not much going on with the description, and it's just basic meow, okay, meow. And then this thing did pretty well. So then this book came along, but I think what happened is that this author probably saw the original book and thought, wow, that's such a great idea. I wonder how hard it would be to write another book using only the word meow. And then, succeeded and wrote a book using only the word meow and then released it. But of course, this author knew, well, I can't just do the same thing because how do I differentiate, and so this author came up with a very compelling looking cover. I gotta say, I really like the way this cat looks. There's something in his eyes, or her, who knows. This cat's eyes are very intriguing and seem to be looking in two different directions. And it's great photo. And I would say fantastic design. Okay. Simple, but really nicely done. And on top of that, this author went 100%, 1,000% with it, and wrote a description that is very ironic and funny and silly. The entire copywriting continues that ironic sort of tone, including the author's bio. I mean, clearly, there's no such thing as a podcast for cats. And there's no such thing as a professor of feline psychology, etc. Right? So this book went one further. So in the timeline, this is the second book, right? We got this book first, and then a few years later, there's this book with an updated cover, more thought put into the presentation, and telling a little bit more of a story so that people get a little more engaged. And then we have this book with a very similar, it's more modern looking than the original, more updated than this, and a slightly different twist on it than this one. So this one, the marketing, the copywriting, oh God, I'm jumping around here, but I think it works for this. So, instead of talking about the copywriting as a separate, part of the analysis, let's just get into that right now because it's relatively simple. The copywriting here, takes this ironic tone. So it's like you're in on the joke or you're not. If you're reading this and you don't get the joke, then you're not a customer. Whereas this one is way more kind of direct. It's matter of fact. It's like, oh, look, here's 100 pages of meow. It doesn't leave anything to the imagination. It goes into the customer benefits, entertainment, unique conversation starter, blah, blah, blah. So this is hitting people over the head very directly, very bluntly. And, that has its merits as well. But the point is that this is a very different angle. It's a very different perspective on exactly the same book and kind of a different vibe for the cover as well. It's really great. So there we go. So let's just sort of codify what we've learned here. So this was the first one to the party. This was second, and this was third, right? And in terms of copywriting, this is almost nothing, very basic. This one is ironic, stylized. You're either in on the joke or you're not a customer, right? Whereas this one is very direct. Customer benefits. It spells it out. And what else did we discover? Let's look at price real quick. So this one is $9.99. This one looks like the original price was $18.99. And this is $5.99. And $9.99. Okay. We've got the timing, the price, the visibility, competition, demand, all that's going to be the same for these books. I will go a little bit into that a little bit later, okay? The cover, we're just going to go basic. These are great. Fantastic. A+. So I'm just going to put a check mark here. yes, and yes. Great covers. I think this one especially is quite a nice cover, but this is too. Gets to the point. This one is a little bit difficult to see in thumbnail. So when you're looking at this among a bunch of other books, it's so easy for the eye just to slip right over it, not even see it. Like you get immediately attracted to this cool looking cat. This over here could be a little difficult to see for some people, whereas this one is very arresting and fantastic cover. What else are we going to look at here? Customer reviews. This has been around a long time, almost 900 reviews, 65 and 15. Okay, and this also has a #1 badge, which can be really helpful. So reviews, what did we say? Almost 900, and then this was, I forget already, 65, and this was 15. So that right there can be a disadvantage compared to this 900 count of reviews, but just kind of put that in your pocket for a second as we look a little bit more at what else is going on. So campaigns. Now, I did a search. I did not find anything extraordinary going on for either of these 3 books, either on TikTok or Instagram or anywhere else. It may exist. I just wasn't able to find it. Let me just stop for a second and I'll pull up the reverse image search to show you how I look for these things. Okay, so I use 2 different websites. One is Google, and I do a reverse image search. It's easy to find. You can just type in reverse image search and it'll be easily found. So I uploaded the thumbnail that I got from Amazon, and then find image source, and here we go. So we got a bunch of Amazon, Goodreads. There's Instagram, but I've already clicked over there. I didn't see anything extraordinary there. Yeah, so nothing that looks super viral for that, at least for that search. And then the other thing I use is called TinEye, tineye.com. And I uploaded the same image here. And again, not seeing anything extraordinary. There's maybe Twitter. Yeah, have a quick look there. Okay, yeah. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Not worth buying. Okay, so that definitely did not stimulate a lot of sales. All right, let's go back. So in terms of campaigns, the other thing also, in fact, let me get that. Let me show that here. So this is really interesting to me. These books are not really advertising, which is crazy. It's pretty rare to find successful books that aren't advertising. So it could be that they advertised before, like before today, maybe during their launch or during specific times, but they're not advertising now. I mean, this one has about 200 keywords and 0 paid keywords. About the same. Yeah, so the top 3 that we're looking at, no paid keywords. There's some other competitors that I looked at that did have a few paid keywords. They're not doing so well as the top 3 that we're looking at. But even then, it's not really extraordinary. So this could be because keywords are kind of a difficult, it's one of those things where, like, what are the keywords for these books? We already kind of, discussed that. How do you find these books? Okay, so campaigns, I'm just going to put like a little line because it doesn't mean anything. And in this case, campaigns is not a big part of either of these books' success. Okay, so let's look at this in context on Amazon. So I did a search here for Meow Book, and Amazon is indicating quite a large number of results. I mean, it could be 100,000, which would be a horrible niche, but this one is 10,000. I do not think that there are 10,000 books that are direct competitors to this. It looks like maybe only about 10, maybe a dozen books are direct competitors. So as you can see, even on the first page of the results, it started veering off what we were looking for. So not too many competitors, but many of them are doing pretty well. So let's go back to my other browser where I have plugins installed. And we're going to start looking at numbers. So the original Meow book, the sales rank is almost 14,000, and it makes $1,228. At least it has in the past 30 days. And I'm going to put that up here. So 14,000 BSR and about 1,200 in the past 30 days. Yeah. This one has a BSR of 376 and about 25,000 in revenue. Whereas this one, a BSR of 402, which is really close to the other one, super respectable, but only makes 5,500. So what's going on here? Between these, so these two books are really taking the top places. This one edging slightly ahead of this other one here. Then why is it making so much more money? Well, that comes down to the price. This one is selling and actually selling for, $18.99. So right now it's on sale, but typically it's $18.99. Whereas this one, they've really lowballed this thing and they're selling it for $5.99. And maybe that helped them gain in their rankings, but they're leaving a lot of money on the table, which is pretty amazing. So in terms of the three books, here we go. So this is the book that, to me, has the better cover. It does have a better rank, but more important than that, they're able to hold that rank and charge a pretty penny for their book. So $18.99 for a 200 and something page book, it's pretty good. If this is not it could be a KDP book, but it may not be. It's kind of hard to tell because there is an actual publisher name here, but that may not mean that it's not an independent book. The point is, it could be. And with 346 pages at this trim size, they're making, if this was KDP, they'd be making $6.24 per book. Whereas this book only has 100 pages, and yet the price is so low, they're only making about $1.29 per book. So this is a really interesting case study where arguably a better cover and better copywriting and slightly ahead of, in terms of timing, this one came ahead of this one, right? So if you are purchasing a funny book to give as a gift, it looks like people that are looking for a very low cost gift are going to buy this one for $5.99. Whereas people that are looking for some kind of funny connection, people that are just, vibing with this book because it's clever, they're going to be willing to pay, 3 times more. So this is really fascinating. So there we have it. We found the winner, and this comes down to timing and a little bit of copywriting, and I would say that the cover is a clear winner. Even though they're charging a lot more, they are winning and they're making the bucks. So there you have it. That was episode 3 of the KDP Throwdown. My name is Dorian. I've made over $1 million in KDP royalties. That's over $3 million in book sales. And I have some other videos you can watch that talk about the game in an overview and also what skills you need in order to be able to win at this game. And I have other Throwdown videos that help figure out why one book is doing better than another book, even though they seem to be very similar. And these are really great ways to learn so that you can do better with your own KDP sales. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. I try to answer everything. I'm also very easily reachable through my website. If you go into the info or about section on this YouTube channel, then there's a link there and you can reach out to me. And as you know, a lot of people have so far. And I'm here if you need me. Just reach out and say hello.